Tonight on KGW News, take two as Portland leaders pass a new camping ban.
Really concerned of where people are actually going to have to end up sleeping at night.
So what's different this time around? Plus,
everybody in this community knows that this is a problem.
The new effort to cover up some of the biggest eyesores in the Rose City. And better power up your fans or ramp it up for record-setting heat. Whew. And later.
Well, hello, Oregon, it's Dolly.
How Dolly Parton is helping Oregon kids fall in love with reading. Good evening, everyone. We start tonight with a plan to limit homeless camping in the Rose City and a new ordinance city leaders hope will stick. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. Portland City Council unanimously made the move today, a revision of last year's ban and with some key changes they say are meant to withstand court challenges. Those include potential fines or jail time up to a week, largely only if a camper refuses alternative shelter.
This ordinance has been carefully crafted with input from legal experts to ensure its legality and its enforceability.
While the ordinance is now in effect, it appears there will be an educational phase along with special training for police officers before they begin enforcement. Let's bring in Catherine Cook now in the newsroom. Catherine, you talked to some folks who work with people living on the streets to gauge how they're feeling about all these changes. What are you hearing?
Oh, David, it's mixed. Some are staunchly against it. Others want to learn more about it and see how it works rather than writing it off right out the gate. But everyone we spoke with says caring for those suffering on the street is still their first priority.
I think it's stupid. I think it's completely off the wall.
Tina Drake hates the idea of criminalizing homelessness in any way. She was homeless for 10 years before getting help and now helps others through street routes. On Tuesday, when Portland City Council unanimously passed its new camping ban, she felt sick.
Should never have been passed.
The ordinance prohibits people from camping on public streets and sidewalks or public property if they have access to reasonable alternative shelter. Tina says what's lost there is many who are struggling can't stay in shelters that others might deem reasonable.
If you come in and tell them, yes, I use marijuana, I use cocaine, I use E, B, C, or D, you get immediately thrown into a trash can, basically.
We know from our community that there's not enough reasonable shelter options for people.
Lauren Armony is with Sisters of the Road, a social justice nonprofit in Old Town. She says many living on the streets may be escaping domestic violence or experienced trauma while staying at a shelter. For them, she says no shelter bed will ever feel more reasonable than camping.
We do fear that the claim that there are shelter beds available will be weaponized against our community, and the narrative of service resistance will be used.
So what happens then? Right now, it's unclear how police will enforce the camping ban, but the ordinance does lay out possible penalties. Violators could face up to 7 days in jail, a $100 fine, or both.
When it comes to fining people in poverty, all that does is deepen their poverty. $100 fine to the people we serve might as well be $100,000.
Scott Kerman is executive director of Blanchet House, a nonprofit that helps care for people living on the streets. He says he's still processing the new ordinance. He is glad it includes language encouraging the DA's office to divert offenders whenever possible. That includes steering them into emergency shelter programs and other services instead of pursuing convictions.
And I think that's really important, that we recognize that homelessness is not a monolith, but it's a very individualized experience for the people who are suffering on the streets right now.
Which brings us back to Lauren. She thinks the solution to camping and homelessness is out there.
We are hoping that we return to actual root cause solutions like lowering rents in Portland. They're too high for most people to manage.
For now, there's an ordinance. And for city leaders, something on the books is better than nothing.
The ordinance also bans the use of fires or gas heaters at campsites and bans campers from setting up any structures or causing environmental damage. It also requires campers to keep all their personal belongings within 2 feet of the outside of their tent. David.
Thanks, Catherine. Appreciate you bringing us a variety of perspectives tonight. All right, you might say it was a Goldilocks kind of day. Not too hot, not too cold. Our Skycam showing the sun shining, and a lot of people saying it just felt, well, just right. Though the 60s and even glorious 70s, it seems, are about to be a little short-lived. Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino is here with the first look at how warm we're about to go. Matt?
Today was right about average for this time of the year. Upper 60s, we made it up to 70 right now. It's 59. It's a pretty warm night. In fact, we're running several degrees warmer than we were at this time last night. 9 degrees warmer. Scappoose, a full 12 degrees warmer. Coast is warmer. Everybody's warmer. And that's the way it's going to be as we go through the next several days. Eastern Oregon, 11 degrees warmer in Redmond right now compared to this time last night. We had frost this morning. We will not do that again tomorrow morning nor any morning going forward for at least the next week and quite possibly for the spring. We made 70, as I mentioned here, 69 in Scappoose, 68 in Aurora. We look around the state. The hot spot was at 74 over in the Dalles. But notice Brookings at 72, while the rest of the coast in the 50s to about 60. Often an indication that we're about to warm up in Western Oregon, and we are, because we're going to begin to see the east wind kick in tomorrow. So our best chance for a record high temperature will be not tomorrow, but on Friday when we reach 90. But tomorrow's high, 83. That'll be our first 80-degree day of the year, and obviously our warmest day of the year so far, too. Still near 90 on Saturday. So those are the 2 days, Friday and Saturday, that'll really be warm. Now, our average date for our first 80-degree day is today, May 8th. So we'll miss it by 1 day. Last year we did it a little bit early. First 90-degree day usually comes in June, around the 18th. We're going to do that over a month early when we reach 90 on Friday. So again, some hazards with the rapid warm up. The water, the lakes, the river, still very cold. Avoid cold water shock. Climbing conditions in the Cascades, dangerous because of avalanche conditions and really low humidity for everybody in the valley. So make sure you hydrate.
Yeah, all good reminders. Thanks so much, Matt. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, a man has been arrested for murder nearly 2 months after a deadly shooting in downtown Portland. Aaron Beasley was shot and killed March 17th on Southwest 10th near the Central Library. Tuesday, police arrested 33-year-old Alexander Lewis in Gresham. He appeared in court this afternoon and pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder. Meanwhile, another man was arrested today for a homicide in a neighborhood right near Intel's Aloha campus. Sheriff's deputies found 53-year-old Chad Thibodeau dead this morning from apparent head trauma. Witnesses spotted a suspect running away, and deputies say they caught him less than an hour later. They have now identified him as 24-year-old Austin Chan and say Chan knew the victim. He is now charged with second-degree murder. And Portland police are asking for help identifying a man who's suspected in a string of burglaries, primarily in the Northwest Hills and Washington Park areas. These photos of the suspect were recorded by home security cameras. Authorities say the burglaries, and they are not saying exactly how many, date back to 2022. If you recognize the suspect, you're asked to call Portland police. All right, we have an update this evening on efforts to remove prolific graffiti in the Rose City because it seems after ODOT allocated millions of dollars and hired a contractor to paint over some of the problem spots, taggers decided to hit them again. Daisy Caballero tagged along with a crew trying to clean it all up.
It'd be nice to see it clean again.
Jack Berryman has been cleaning up graffiti in Portland for the last 2 years.
Usually you only need to do one coat of paint for these.
Berryman is with the Portland Graffiti Removal, the company the Oregon Department of Transportation chose to partner with to clean up highways and freeways around the Rose City as part of the $20 million spending bill from Oregon lawmakers.
Everybody in this community knows that this is a problem.
Don Hamilton with ODOT says crews started this work in the middle of April and have since painted over more than 1,100 sites. But unfortunately, taggers have already hit locations they've cleaned up.
We're working very much with police, and police have teams out there to try to bring these taggers to justice.
The same taggers Barrymore encounters occasionally while cleaning up what they consider artwork.
They usually just stare at us, give us dirty looks, and then go away for the most. They don't do a whole bunch. They just tell us don't buff our stuff pretty much.
He also comes across trash, needles, and drugs on top of the tricky locations like this one that he needs to cover up.
If it helps me to get my job done, I'll clean some stuff up sometimes, but I'm not trying to get any like diseases or anything like that.
The $4 million for graffiti cleanup will be good until June of next year. After that, Hamilton says lawmakers may look over adding any additional funds for graffiti cleanup to ODOT's next budget.
Everybody, I think, wants us to make sure that we can do what we can to stop this and to clean up the community.
Daisy Caballero, KGW News.
And by the way, those road signs on the interstate, the ones you could barely read on overpasses because of all the paint, well, ODOT says typically those need to be replaced at a cost of $8,000 a piece. You're watching KGW News. Still ahead at 11, finding the smoke before it spreads. Look at the system helping crews catch wildfires sooner than ever before. Plus, adding some star power to a statewide initiative, how Dolly Parton is helping kids fill their bookshelves.